Hello and welcome along to HTML Basics with your host Robert Smith. In this series of videos we're going to create first of all a two-column layout template in Dreamweaver using CSS and HTML. We're then going to populate that with some content and eventually turn it into a 4-page website with a horizontal navigation bar. Okay, but in this first part let's have a look at what we're going to create. So I'm going to go to this page here and I'm going to preview it in Safari. This is what we're going to make. We're going to lay out a page like this using div tags, which I've covered in a previous video, but remind ourselves that a div tag is simply a division on a HTML page like this, and there's a series of div tags to make this little template. So let's get out of that. Let's go back to this file here and let's get stuck in. Now in this first video we're just going to do a bit of CSS housework, I like to call it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click plus like this, and we're going to write a rule, but this time normally we'd write a tag, or we've looked at classes too, how to write a class. This time we're going to write something called a compound. Now that sounds really scary, doesn't it? But it's not really. What it simply means is that we can apply styles to many different elements at once. So let's have a look at the elements that I want to style. So I'll choose compound there, and the ones I want are div, the div tag if you like, then the h1 tag, we'll be using that as well, the p tag, the image tag, we'll be using that, the ul, the unordered list, we'll be using that, the li, the list items, we'll be using that, and the a, which is the link item as well. So all of these elements we're going to style all at once with one rule, and that's what compound means, in case you're wondering. And we want to save it in index.css, so let's click OK. And all we really want to do in our box is set our padding to 0 and our margin to 0, like that. And OK. Now you're not going to see anything because we haven't actually got any elements on the page yet. But that's called a CSS reset. Now there's lots and lots of theories on how to do that. I just simply make a compound of all the tags I'm going to use, and there they are there. So let's make a comment about that. If we look at the CSS page that's attached to it, there it is there. There's the rule we just wrote, like this. So if I put my cursor there and press return, I'm going to write myself a comment to remind myself what that's all about. And I'm going to say this is a CSS reset to set the margins and padding of the chosen elements to 0, like that. Now you'll notice it stays in this luscious pink color. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that like this by clicking and dragging over the top, and you'll see down here you've got these two little thought bubble type things. The top one here, if I click on that and I click on the second thing down, that'll allow me to make a comment. You'll notice how it's gone grey, and these two little things here hide this from the browser, so the browser doesn't see this. This is just for you at the development stage to remind yourself why you put this at the start. Okay, let's go back to our source code. Everything's looking good so far. Now I want to style two more tags, the HTML and the body tag. Now the HTML tag, think of that as the whole page. Everything you see on the browser is the HTML page. Okay, so I'm going to click plus like this, and HTML is a tag, so I'm going to go to a tag like that, and I'm going to type in HTML. That's the tag I want to style, and I want to style it in my index.css file. So if I click OK like this, up comes my rule definition. Now just for to be on the safe side, I'm going to put a padding of 0 and a margin of 0, like that. And I'm also going to put a background color. Now the background color I want is this one here, 699, pound 699, like that. And I'm going to click OK. Now nothing's happened. We just styled the HTML page. Now if I click on the live view, you'll notice now that it kicks in. If I go to design view, that's what I've just done. All I've said in that CSS rule is to make everything in the browser that color, like that, and we can add things on top of that. So I'm going to go back out of live view. Seems to be a bit of a bug in Dreamweaver that you have to go into live view to see that. You just can't see it in design view. Okay, I'll go back to split. Now this time I want to style my body tag as well. Notice we haven't put any content yet, we're just setting up the page. If I click on plus like this, I go to tag, and it knows I want the body tag because it was selected down here, and I want to put it in index.css. Okay, great. Okay, now let's have a look what we'd like to do. First of all, I'm going to put in a width. Now I'm going to make it 960 pixels wide. Now that's a figure that's been arrived at by a lot of developers. It's quite a standard width for a fixed width website like this. You can have it, you can make it whatever width you like, but that should work on most monitors. And while we haven't got any content so we can see it, I'm going to put a height of 2000 pixels so we will see it on the page. If we didn't put this in, we wouldn't be able to see what we've got on the page. Okay, in the box I'm going to go for, in the margins I'm going to go auto right and auto left, and what that does, that simply centers this area, this 960, inside our HTML page. More of that later. Okay, now I'm not really happy with the font that's going to be used here, so I'm going to go to type and I'm going to make the font Arial like that. That simply will make all the fonts we use from now on Arial until we change it using CSS. Now the background color, I want a background color of this grey or £CCC like that. Very nice indeed. And I also want a margin, I should go back to my box, a margin at the top of 0 so it sits nicely up against the top of the page. Let's go OK and have a look at that. Something's happened over here. We've now got a grey background. Because of the resolution of the monitor I'm working on, you can't really see the whole page. So let's go to design view and have a look. Again, we can't see anything until we click on live view. As you can see now, we've got a green background. That's the HTML page, and this is our body where everything's going to happen inside our website, inside this grey area. So I'll go out of live view and let's preview that in Safari, for example. I'm going to save that and save that, and there it is. There's our basic page setup with, as you'll notice as I drag the monitor around like this, the green part, which is the HTML page, gets smaller and it gets wider as I widen the browser, and that's using the margin auto to do that, and our content stays at 960 pixels wide. Okay, that's it for video 1. In the next video we'll add some div tags and some structure to our page.